This Thursday, the Texans take on the LA Rams in their preseason finale. And I am very glad preseason is over. Like, I am done with preseason. I think preseason should only be 2 weeks. Like, I understand the concept of preseason. Let the young guys play so you can see what you got at, the backup spots. But you got injuries happening, like the Lamar Miller incident last week. And of course, I'm not going to sit here and complain about an injury. I mean, for all we know, it could have happened on the first snap of week 1. Injuries are injuries. They happen. Like, unavoidable type of things. You don't know when they're going to happen and to who they're going to happen. They're just going to happen. But to lose someone in a meaningless game kind of hurts. And the whole preseason as a whole, it's just a bad product. It's just not good football. I understand, for the money and all that, but still, though, I mean, they can just go with 2 games, in my opinion. Now, before I talk about what to watch out for in this preseason Week 4 game, there is some things I kind of want to address. Number 1 being, this is preseason Week 4, so don't expect any starters to play. Well, most of the starters to play. I think, personally, that the offensive line starters should play. They need any and every rep that they can possibly get. Like, I think Max Sharping should be out there. Rod Johnson, Seantrell Henderson, I think they should be out there with the starters and see what they can do. I don't care that they're going up against second-string Rams defensive linemen. I think they need to be out there. Like, yes, you might be risking an injury, but they need the reps, man. I think O'Brien made a mistake in reshuffling the offensive line every single week. I think he should have just stuck to the one that worked after he benched Matt Khalil against Green Bay. The combination of Rod Johnson, Tytus Howard, Zach Fulton, Max Sharping, Seantrell Henderson. I think he should have kept that combination. He should have used that combination versus Dallas, but, he switched it up for whatever reason. And, now these guys don't know they're going to play probably, besides maybe Seantrell Henderson and Tytus Howard, who's dealing with a broken finger. But, like, everyone else, like, they have no idea where they're playing. Like, it's beyond dumb, in my opinion. I think by now, when it comes to the offensive line, the Texans should have already had their starting lineup set. Like, none of that reshuffling stuff, and just go with what looked best. Now, the next thing I want to address is Joe Webb. Joe Webb is not a good quarterback, man. Like, he is so inaccurate. And I'm not saying this as a knock on Joe Webb or anything. I'm just saying that it's kind of hard to evaluate these young players at the wide receiver position, like Tyron Johnson, Vincent Smith, with Joe Webb being the guy throwing the football. There has been so many times that Vincent Smith and Tyron Johnson have been open, but Joe Webb just completely overthrows them. I think A.J. McCarron getting hurt really kind of hurt these young guys. Like, honestly, like, if you're choosing between Tyron Johnson and Vincent Smith, can you really say that one of them completely outperformed the other? Like, you can't. Like, it's hard to say anything like that. It's hard to choose between one of them. And I'm pretty sure O'Brien and the coaching staff are going to base their, roster decisions off of what happened in training camp and practices, not with what happened during the preseason games. And that's pretty much where I'm at with that. Like, the whole not being able to evaluate these young receivers thing. Now, here's some things to look out for. Obviously, unfortunately, last week we lost Lamar Miller, torn ACL, and I believe torn MCL as well, out for the season. So now you got Higdon, Crockett, Taiwan Jones, Buddy Howell, and even Josh Ferguson, all fighting for what will probably be 3 running back spots. Because Duke Johnson, he has one secured. So there's probably going to be 4 running backs carried into the season. So all these guys have a chance at taking one of those spots. I don't know who it's going to be. Personally, I think Crockett has looked the best. And then Howell. And then Higdon. And then probably Taiwan Jones. And then Ferguson last in that order. But to be fair to Ferguson, hasn't really got many touches. So it's kind of hard to see him making the team. Now, like I said earlier, I believe that the offensive line players should play, and if they do play, I think obviously you should watch out for Rod Johnson. Hopefully he's out there with the starters this time around. Watch out for Max Sharping. Hopefully he rebounds from last week, because I thought last week he had a terrible week. And then Shantro Henderson too. See what he does. Shantro Henderson has kind of just been like, man, like he hasn't stood out at all. So I'd say that's kind of a good thing, because if you're going to stand out, you're either going to do really good or really bad. So him being meh is kind of good in my opinion, but, going up against these guys is completely different from going up against the Joey Bosa's, the Yannick Ngakwe's, Calais Campbell's, Cameron Jordan, guys that he's going to go up against during the first 3 weeks of the regular season. Now, other guys you should probably look out for in that offensive line. Trash Can Davenport. I think Davenport is kind of not gonna make the team. Depending on how he does this game is gonna determine his fate, in my opinion. But still though, part of me wants to believe that maybe Davenport makes the team over Matt Khalil, because if Davenport doesn't make the team, that means Matt Khalil makes the team, and I don't want Matt Khalil to make the team. The guy sucks. Another guy, Sunil Kilamedi. I think Sunil Kilamedi has his spot locked down just based on the fact that he can play left guard, center, right guard, and even right tackle. I think he's like the 6th offensive lineman. So I think he has a spot locked down on the team. Next guy is Martinez Rankin. Unfortunately, Martinez Rankin hasn't got much playing time. Well, he's gotten playing time, but he hasn't gotten quality playing time, if you get what I'm saying. He's been playing with the 3rd and 4th stringers. So hopefully this week he plays with, the 2nd stringers or something, because I really thought Martinez Rankin was going to take a step forward this year, and seeing him versus 3rd and 4th stringers is just really disappointing in my opinion. The next thing, Jarrell Adams. I've been saying it since, I believe, preseason week 2, when Jarrell Adams just completely destroyed that Lions player by stiff-arming him. I think Jarrell Adams has a shot of making an NFL team. I think if we didn't have all these tight ends, Jarrell Adams could possibly make our team and have an impact. I think this game, the Texans should try to target Jarrell Adams in every way possible and kind of use it as an audition tape. Use Jarrell Adams as trade bait, I guess you could say. A lot of these teams want a certain player on another team. And yes, they could wait for certain players to get cut, but if you're waiting for that, for cut day, then you risk losing that player signing somewhere else. So then you trade for him, if you want a certain guy that is probably not going to make the team, you should trade for him. 7th round pick or something. And in my opinion, I think the Texans could possibly use Jarrell Adams to trade for a running back that they like that's most likely to get cut from another team. For example, TJ Yeldon from the Buffalo Bills, he's probably going to get cut. He's like their fourth string running back. And I mean, the Bills don't really have any great tight ends over there, so maybe Texans go, hey, you know, we'll give you Jero Adams for your fourth string running back that you're about to cut. You know, it could work out in that way, so I think the Texans should kind of use this to showcase Jero Adams to the league. Next thing, Vincent Smith versus Tyron Johnson. Like I said earlier in this video, neither of these guys has really kind of stood out in a huge way over the other. Joe Webb is making it difficult to really evaluate these guys. Hopefully this week one of them separates themselves from the other. The next thing, the run-stuffing defensive line depth. Okay, here are the guaranteed guys to make the team from the defensive line, interior defensive line. DJ Reader, Brandon Dunn, Angelo Blackson. I think those guys are guaranteed to make the team. Now, I think the Texans will carry 5 of these run-stuffing defensive linemen. And there's 3 guys fighting for those last 2 spots. Carlos Watkins, Albert Huggins, and Joel Heath. Who's going to make it? Personally, I think I know who's going to make it. But, you know, I'll save that for tomorrow's video, which is going to be my 53-man roster prediction. Next thing, Davin Bellamy. I think Davin Bellamy has been having like a really good preseason, kind of being overshadowed by the fact that preseason hasn't been pretty for the Texans this year. But Bellamy, in my opinion, has been looking good just pretty much every week. And I think if he performs well again this week, I think he has a real shot of making this roster. Next thing, Charles Omenihu, who I also think he's been playing pretty well this preseason. And he's obviously going to make the team. So, you know, just pay attention to him, see what he does this week. Next guy, Lonnie Johnson versus, you know, Rams 5th string receivers and stuff. I thought last week Lonnie Johnson had a great game. One of the few, you know, highlights for the Texans of that game. I want to see how Lonnie does this game. I did hear in training camp early on he was kind of inconsistent. So let's see if Lonnie Johnson can stay consistent this time around and perform well again. Next thing, Xavier Crawford. Personally, I think it might be too late for Xavier Crawford. But let's see if he does anything to kind of save himself a spot on the roster here at the last second. Last thing, Chris Johnson, the safety. You guys pointed him out to me preseason week 2. I saw him play preseason week 3, and I thought he did pretty good. And I think he can make the roster as the 5th safety / a special teams specialist. Let's see if he can continue to play well here in preseason week 4. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys for today. Comment down below if you guys think I missed anything, something else I should add to my list, so I could be on the lookout here on the last week of preseason. And yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.